order the regular board meeting of the Board of Election Commissioners for the City of Chicago. Good morning. My name is Marisel Hernandez. I'm the chair. Seated to my right is Commissioner William Kresse, and to my left is Commissioner Jonathan Swain. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda. Are there any proposed changes? If not, we'll proceed with the approval of the board meeting minutes of June 11, 2019. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Goff.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. Just to let you know that we have a meeting scheduled for this Thursday to talk about new equipment. We're going to meet with our folks that are going to be doing the review of the actual proposals. Hopefully get something in writing to the board members within the next week. We'd like to get everything hopefully decided by the end of the month. That's our timeline. This end of August, end of July. So I just wanted the board members to be aware
Well,
of
you've
that.
been, you and your chief have been working hard on this for months
We
and
have.
evaluating all the RFP responses. So I'm glad we're going to have an opportunity to make a final decision.
We will. So I just wanted the board members to be aware of that. The other items are Senate Bill 2090 had passed. That was great news. It's something that this office has been working on very hard, pretrial detainees, and actually what something that Commissioner Swain has talked about. It's not only pretrial detainees, but what happens when somebody's released, has paid their debt to society. To talk about registering a vote is something that nobody's ever hit on it. We've worked with ACLU to come up with a pamphlet that they're going to give to everybody when they're released from jail. So it's something that we've been working on, and I hope to have something so you can see other documents that we've been putting together. We've been asked by ACLU and other agencies to, when they have the press conference, to be there. So I just wanted to find out if it's okay with the board members. It's something that this agency's been working very hard on. Okay. And other items are that we had a meeting at IGO in Houston. It was well attended, and it was interesting. I know Charles and Adam took classes at the event. I had a chance to meet with all 4 of the EAC members to go over some items that we're doing. We're also trying to set up a postal forum here in the city of Chicago for all of Midwest to talk about what we're doing with postal service. As you know, we've had issues with them with vote by mail. Hopefully we'll get that resolved. And I think it should be a smooth upcoming 2020 election. So, but I don't have much more for the board members. I put some information down in front of the tables to go over certain items to talk about the 2020 election. I think we're going to have a huge turnout. If you can look at some of the numbers, it's quite interesting. But that's all I have for my board members right now.
Mr. Holliday?
Good morning, Madam Chair, fellow commissioners. As Lance stated, we attended the IGO conference. It was very enlightening. And look forward to attending the midwinter session. The voting history is ready for the February municipal election and the April's runoff election. We still have meetings scheduled with the aldermen about the reduction of precincts. It's kind of slow, their response. Once we get to our deadline, if we haven't heard from them, then we may reconsider reducing some of those precincts. There's not a real big interest right now, or they just don't want it to be done. But where we feel and see that it can and needs to be done, we may proceed. as Lance said, we have a meeting scheduled for 30 with our committee on new equipment. So that's all I have.
I see Commissioner Swain, you look a little puzzled. Let me just explain. We sent out an item to all the aldermen about maps that we've gone over about reducing the number of precincts. Haven't gotten a real good response back yet. People are saying, well, why are we doing this before the census? Other items. Just to let you know, if we do not get to, we will be doing some, but if we don't get to the 400, we will eventually, hopefully in the middle of 2020. So it's something that we're looking at right now.
Because as I recall, Lance and Charles, the purpose of this is to, one, have more judges covering precincts.
Exactly.
To have challenges with judges. Second issue has to do with the question of partially accessibility, right?
Yes.
Thirdly, I think this issue has to go to this question of finding places to actually have polling places.
Exactly.
Right? So we're doing this in an effort to make elections more efficient. So I find it challenging that they may not be responding and want to keep things kind of how they are. So,
Well, but it's something that we're gonna have to do face-to-face meetings, and something we're gonna start making phone calls and actually set up appointments to go.
and especially if you're talking about going to 2020, it'd be great to have all these done because where it all makes sense, especially because, as you just mentioned, 2020 is going to be probably a bigger election than we've seen in a long time.
It will.
Right?
Yes.
So it's probably smart to make sure we have enough judge coverage, that we have places that are accessible, that we have places that we're not looking to find places at the last minute like we have in previous years, right? So, okay.
We are working on that. It's just that we're not getting a response, so it's something that we're gonna have to go knock on doors now, and that's what we've done before.
That's okay. So I've got to start knocking on some doors.
Got it.
Also, Commissioner Swain, those precincts where we had issues with the judges, we do have a listing of those. So when we meet with the aldermen, that will be brought to their attention, and also about the accessible polling.
Accessibly more places, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is old business, infrastructure projects and changes in election administration.
Madam
Yes.
Mr. Allen has some things that
Oh,
we
I'm
need to
sorry.
ask you.
I forgot you. I'm
It's
so
all right.
sorry. Mr. Allen.
I would have taken a pass.
No, not on this.
Very briefly, the 4 projects that we're working on right now continue to be the canvas mailing, which will include the solicitation of emails. I have 2 mock-ups here for you. The contingency, the continuity of operations plan, the contingency plan. The website content has been prepared, so that'll be updated within the next 2 days. So all of the webpage content has been prepared, so now it's a matter of the translation team and myself updating each and every individual page. And lastly, budget documents that we're preparing for the county. And we assume that we'll get requests soon for budget documents from the city. Here are the samples. There are 2 looks on the letter regarding the solicitation. Basically, flipping the screen, we're trying to figure out which one, where we're asking for the email draws more attention. I'm not sure if
And where is
the
that?
blue, it's right here.
Oh, I see.
So we're not sure which color combination to go with. Trying to draw attention to that part of the letter as best as we can.
My attention goes quicker to this one with the blue on the right, but I don't know.
This one?
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, for the sake of comedy, I'll agree.
I like unanimity, so, good, okay.
I like the phrasing about, inviting everyone to join the email list as well.
Thanks. Yeah, we worked on that because the translation team was having a challenging time with some of the wording. It was kind of bureaucratic in the original wording. And so we tried to simplify it to just say, join the 300,000 who already have emails with us.
Mhm. Yeah.
Say, Jim,
Yes.
I'm just curious about what made this question item 2. So by law, we have to have all 4 on here?
Yes. We could, in theory, do bilingual in certain precincts and then quadlingual in targeted ones. However, that involves creating separate files and then separate designs, separate print runs, everything else. So it makes things.
No, I understand. Like,
Yeah.
The only reason that I'm raising the question is, as probably the closest one here from the Instagram generation, a lot of words kind of get lost, right? And when you add to it, that if you took say the English or the Spanish or the other languages by themselves, you could make them bigger, might be able to catch them a lot quicker. The fact that you're talking about someone reading a quarter of a page for the most part, whatever quarter that is, and the rest of it being something that they wouldn't pay attention to necessarily. And you're trying to communicate information. It just seems to be challenging to me. I'm wondering if there's another way that we could do this to communicate the information, especially since this is an important. You get what I'm saying, right?
Oh, yes.
It kind of gets lost when you have to put all 4 on one page.
It does present challenges, and
We just have to balance that against the possible, I could see some errors in mailings to,
Yeah.
in the wrong language, and then,
the board has tended to operate from the perspective that once people receive materials in a given language, such as Chinese, even if they move to another part of the city that is not part of that designated area, we continue to offer that voting equipment, for example, in that language. Other jurisdictions are much less, or much more restrictive on that front. We've tended to err on the side of caution.
And frankly, I kind of like the way it sort of celebrates diversity with all the different languages in there. It's kind of cool. One question.
I'm fine with this level of diversity. I'm not
Okay.
looking for more
We could put in like
languages.
17 languages.
Yeah.
Do
It's
you
LA.
have a copy of the sample in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. In the last box, I noticed number 1 has the email address to visit in each of the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Spanish, it's -S and Chinese -C. The number 1 in the last one?
That will change to -H.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
because-
there will be a version of the page in each language, a version of that webpage.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that that email address was correct, is corrected. Okay. Gotcha.
All right. Oh, and the bids on this should open later, for the printing and actual production should open on this later this week. Again, we will be polling you individually so that, assuming that the results are clear, so that we can get authority to proceed on this contract.
when do these go out?
These would go out, our target date is late August, around August 22nd.
Right.
It's going to depend on the ability of the vendor to send these out. So these would ideally go out a little bit before Labor Day.
Because we have to coordinate with,
We're working on
Right.
that. We need to make sure that we have all this, we want to do as much of a canvas as possible prior to petition filing.
We have a good window, though, to postpone if the precincts aren't settled. The deadline or the requirement, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, is for us to have activity like this, a canvas activity, 90 days before Election Day. So that gives us all the way until, realistically, late October and November. But the sooner we jump on it, the sooner we can do the second mailing, and the sooner the voter registration staff has to be able to process all the return mail. And they don't want to be doing that when they're also going through petitions.
right, understood. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is old business, and with regards to infrastructure projects and changes in election administration and voting equipment, we have just discussed that. Electronic poll books, is there anything new?
No, right now, we're still having our weekly meetings. We'll be meeting tomorrow, finalizing the ADA form for the poll books.
legislation. Mr. Lasker?
Well, just to go back and revisit the pretrial detainee voting bill, Charles and I have both been in touch with the county and the jail staff. We're starting to coordinate some meetings there because there are obviously some logistics to be worked out. We will be setting up a temporary branch polling place, as will the county. But I think it's important for the public to understand too that because this is now an actual polling place, poll watchers will be allowed inside on behalf of candidates, campaigns, and qualified civic organizations. We, the Board of Elections, hand out blank credentials for poll watchers to the qualified campaigns. And the way the existing law works is not only that they don't have to disclose who their poll watchers are going to be to us, but the statute even says we're not allowed to ask. And that has not changed. So this new pretrial detainee voting bill allows the jail to do pre-authorization on poll watchers. So I just think it's important those campaigns understand that they're going to have to work with the jail to have their poll watchers obtain pre-approval. Most likely a criminal background check of some sort. We'll provide the credentials. But, those are some of the logistics we're going to start meeting with the jails to decide how to handle. There's also a law that was signed by the governor last week that prohibits any new term limits that are entered on elected offices in municipalities, prohibits them from being, from including prior terms of service that a person performed or served before the term limit was put into place. So in other words, last summer we received a petition that would have, if the referendum was successful, would have created a two-term limit on the office of mayor, and that would have precluded Rahm Emanuel from seeking a third term. But now that this law, Senate Bill 1536, now that it's been signed into law, for example, Rahm Emanuel would still be entitled to run if there were a two-term limit here, because his two terms happened before the term limit was put into place. That's about it right now on legislation. The General Assembly's taking some time off.
Okay. Great. If there are no questions, we'll proceed with the next item, which is the professional services agreement between the Board of Election Commissioners and JPA Consulting Group, Inc. For the purpose of media issues, public relations, strategic planning, community outreach, and related community services for the board, or as directed by the board, and that is for the period of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, in the amount of $12,500 per month, in addition to any actual reimbursement and expenses incurred when in performing business for the board. Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is, well, we have nothing under new business. Mr. Lasker, do we have a legal report?
Last week, Friday, was the oral arguments in the 5th Ward election contest, which is our last remaining piece of litigation from the April 2nd election. The Circuit Court, Judge Clay Heron did rule in favor of Harrison and the board, so that case is completed at the Circuit Court level. There are some indications that Callaway's side might try to seek an appeal. The judge was pretty strong in her decision. It was a pretty, I guess, weak case on the legal issues that were raised. And I think the judge saw that, but we'll see whether they seek an appeal on that. We have been already receiving calls from people who are interested in becoming candidates for March of 2020. So I'll just remind the public that they cannot begin circulating their petitions until September 3rd. As of last check yesterday, the State Board of Elections still does not have a calendar up. They're still planning about mid-August. We tend to get our information on from there, so I'm slowly but surely getting ours ready in anticipation that we'll drop their data and we'll incorporate it, publish our book. That's about it for now, yes.
Thank you. We have a financial report. We have a balance sheet and voucher listing for the City of Chicago, 2019 appropriation, number 19-03, dated July 23rd, 2019, in the amount of $1,630,020.76. Is there a motion to approve?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I did not receive any requests for public comment. Mr. Lasker, is there a need for executive session?
Not today.
Okay. Is there any further business before the board? If not, is there a motion to adjourn to our next regularly scheduled meeting on August the 13th, 2019 at 9:30 a.m.?
So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.